Hello everyone, I am Amar and I am going to present some questions from general forensic. So without any further delay, let's move to the question number one. Question number one, which of the following are considered steps in scientific method? A, formulation of hypothesis. Second, publishing hypothesis before testing. C, testing hypothesis through observation or experimentation. Fourth, revising the hypothesis based on result. And as you know, in any scientific method, there is a three-step process in which first there is a formulation of hypothesis, and second is the testing of hypothesis, and third is the revising. So the correct answer will be the A, C, and D. Now let's check the options. So A, B, and C, no, A, C, and D. So option B is the correct answer. Before moving to the next question, let's re-revise this question. And as I already told, in any scientific method, there is a three-step process. So first is the formulation of hypothesis, and second is the testing phase, and after that there is a revising phase. And after the after that, when the revised hypothesis is formulated, then it further goes for the testing, or you can call rigorous testing and experimentation to check that whether the new hypothesis can support or need further revision. And after that, when the revision is done or hypothesis support or doesn't need any further revision, then it goes to the conclusion phase where based on the accumulated data from the experiment, a conclusion can be drawn. And if the hypothesis is consistent, then it will become a theory. So uh, this is the process of how an hypothesis goes from the testing phase to the finally the theory. And after that, it goes to the publication phase in which the author published their theory, and it is further revised or further researched by the other authors or researchers. Uh, and after that, they will again make some hypothesis based on the theory, and then this process continues. And this is how a scientific theory is developed. I hope you get the idea of how a scientific method is developed. Now, let's move to the question number second. What specific poison does Matthew Orfila extensively study? And here are the options. First is the cyanide, second is mercury, third is arsenic, and fourth is lead. So the correct answer is the arsenic. Now let's take the explanation part. Matthew Orfila's specified field of study is poison, and as you know, he is also known as the father of toxicology. And after that, let's talk about the background. Matthew Orfila was born in Spain, and he then moved to the France where he worked and became a professor of forensic chemistry at University of Paris. Later in the years, he also became the dean of the University of Paris. Moving to the question number three. Question number three states that what is voir process? And here are the options. A method for the scientist to explain the evidence in the front of court. A process where the scientist determines the enough conclusive evidence pertaining facts. Process of introducing the scientist and describing his or her qualification. And option four is both first and second. For this, the correct answer is option three, the process of introducing scientist and describing his or her qualification. So let's talk more in detail about the voir dire. So voir dire in general is an investigation of admissibility of a person as a witness or jury or even the expert witness. So you can say that any person that is going to be a part of a trial, for example, the witnesses, jury, or expert witnesses are going through a test of admissibility, and this process is called the voir dire. So while talking about the expert witness, while talking about only in the context of expert witness, so it refers to the process where the court determines whether the expert's background, education, or experience, and after that the judge will decide whether his expert opinion will be valid for this court or not. Now let's move to the question number four. For criminal cases, forensic psychiatry means serves to evaluate a competent to make decisions about the preparing will, competent of settling property, C. Behavioral disorder to stand a trial, D. Competent to stand a trial. As the question is clearly says for the criminal cases, as you know, and there are the two main types of cases. First is the criminal cases, and second is the civil cases. In civil cases, there are disputes such as related to property, wills, or something like that is not heinous that much and doesn't involve some heinous crimes such as murder. And in criminal cases, they are mostly the heinous crimes are involved. While in forensic psychiatry, the civil cases mainly include a competent to make a decision for preparing wills, or settling property, and or refusing medical treatment. For example, if a person is not fit to take his or her decision medically, then it will refer in a civil case. And in criminal cases, and in criminal cases, it usually include behavioral disorder to standard trial or competent to standard trial. So for this, for criminal cases, the options C and D are correct. And if the question asks for the civil cases, then A or B will be the correct answer. Now let's check the options, and these are the options, and C and D. So last option 4 is correct. Now, moving to the question number 5. If the defendant's shoes are found to contain traces of soil consistent with the crime scene, this would be an example of what type of evidence? Now, let's check the options. First is invalid evidence. There is no such thing that such as invalid evidence. Second is exculpatory evidence. So, exculpatory evidence are those evidence which can prove someone innocence. So, it will, for example, in a case a fingerprint is found. And when the fingerprint is matched with the person A, then it is a not a match. Then this type of evidence which exclude a person and or prove its innocence, then they are called exculpatory evidence. Apart from this, there is another word that is inculpatory, inculpatory evidence. It is just opposite of that. In this, any evidence that link or suggest that a person is involved in a crime, then it is called inculpatory evidence. Third is circumstantial evidence. So circumstantial evidence are also known as indirect evidence. For example, if you see a person, or let's say your friend, entering a room with an umbrella and that is wet, what will be your guess? So you might guess that it is raining outside. So in this case, you have choose a probable outcome. So what are you doing is you are just putting together the hints to build a story. So this is what the circumstantial evidence is. So in this case, defendant shoes contain the traces of the soil consistent with the crime scene. So in this case, it suggests that the person was at a crime scene, but it does not directly prove that he has done the crime. It may be that the person is visited early and the crime was happened afterward. So it doesn't directly specify something, but it link him to the crime scene. After that, the fourth option is the direct evidence. Direct evidence are the evidence that establish fact, and it doesn't need any further clarification. For example, CCTV. For example, CCTV records firing a shot by the defendant, so it is a type of direct evidence. But in this case, the correct answer is circumstantial evidence because it only links him to the crime scene, but doesn't directly specify that he has committed the crime. So the correct answer is circumstantial evidence. Now let's move to the question number 6. Who is credited with the developing the first classification system for fingerprint? So the options are Charles Darwin, second, Sir Francis Galton, third, the Bertillon system, fourth, the Sir Richard Henry. So the correct answer is Sir Francis Galton, and you already know Richard Henry. He developed the Henry classification system, but the first was developed by the Sir Francis Galton. So let's check the explanation part. Explanation: Sir Francis Galton developed the first classification of fingerprints, and he classified them based on the patterns. So he was the first that classified fingerprints based on the loops, arches, and whorls. You might be aware of the loops. Loops are the patterns. It may be ulnar or it may be the ulnar loops or radial loop. And second is the arches in which it starts from one end and goes to the other. And third is the word. It is like the spring. These are the words. These all three patterns are featured by the Sir Francis Galton. Next, Sir Francis Galton also published the influential book known as Fingerprint. This is one of the first book in the fingerprints area, and he published it into 1892. Now moving to the question number 7. How many short stories did Sir Arthur Doyle published featuring Holmes and Watson? So first is 46, second is 56, third is 66, and fourth is 76. So in the course of 40 years, from 1887 to 1927, he published around 56 short stories. So the correct answer is 56. Now let's move to the question number 8. Holmes is best described as. These are the options: forensics biologist, forensic chemist, forensic fire expert, and forensic document examiner. So Holmes is described as forensic chemist because in his novels he majorly talks about the chemical reagents and do some experiments with that. So let's check the explanation part. And explanation part is the Sherlock Holmes test was announced in 1887. So it is a test that was developed by the Holmes. It was the first test that he first introduced in his book in 1887. And what is Sherlock Holmes test? So Sherlock Holmes test is a blood test. And in his novel, he specified that his blood test not only detect the blood, but also its human origin. So it can detect the blood is human or not, which is not possible in 1887 because the first test that detected human blood claims into 1900s. So, but you can say that it is the foundation that inspired many authors to research in that area. Now, let's move to the question number 9. Who was accused of using arsenic to murder her husband in a famous case in which the Orfila got involved? Options are Marie Curie, Marie Antoinette, Mary Duplessis, and Marie Lafayette. And the correct answer for this question is the Marie Lafayette. Now, let's check the explanation part. The famous arsenic case in which Orfila was involved was the Marie Lafayette, and it was in the year of 1839. So, how he detected in the exhumed remains of Lafayette's husband? So, he detected the arsenic that the Mary gave to her husband. So, it was the earliest example in which scientific method is used to detect poison. Now there is another similar case related to the arsenic poison, which is the Northern Sisters and Thames scourging, in which the exhumed remains are used. In this case, the Thames scourging gives arsenic in the form of rat poison. So in the form of rat poison, but the forensic experts it uses the exhumed remains of the Northern Sisters to test the arsenic. For that, they used the exhumed remains of the northern system and they added the dilute sulfuric acid. They added the dilute sulfuric acid, and after that, they what does this sulfuric acid do is that they destroy the all organic matters, and after that, the sample is goes through the hydrochloric acid. It is boiled in HCl, and after that, there is an intense purple color that specify arsenic was consumed by the sisters. So you can read the whole case study on forensicreader.com. Just search Northern Sisters Forensic Reader and click on the first link. Now let's move to the question number 10. Which system did the British government adopt as an adjunct to the Bertillon system? First is the Galton's fingerprint classification. Second is the Darwin's evolution theory influenced by the Galton work. Third is the Bertillon's own fingerprint system. And fourth is the thumbprint collection method. And so the correct answer is the Galton's fingerprint classification system. Now moving to the question number 11. In which story does the Holmes announces the discovery of the Sherlock Holmes test? It is a test for the blood that not only defines that it is a blood, but also defines human origin or not, human origin or not. Now let's take the options. First are the study of Scarlet, the sign of four, the hound of the Baskervilles, the Valley of Fear. You may know all four books featured Holmes, and the study of Scarlet is the first book that is published by the author Conan Doyle, and it is also the first book that defined the Sherlock Holmes test. So the correct answer is the study of Scarlet. Apart from that, let's talk about all these four books. So the Study of Scarlet was published in 1887, and the Sign of Four was published in 1890. The Hounds of the Baskervilles is published in 1902, and The Valley of Fear is published in the 19th. So I will recommend you to take the screenshot of it. I hope you took the screenshot. Now let's move to the question number 12. In criminal proceeding, who bears the burden of proving defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt? So the options are the defendant, the grand jury, the prosecutor, the judge. So as you know, first of all, let's talk about the what is the guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Is a standard term used in the criminal cases in which the evidence must be so strong that there is no reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. So in criminal proceeding, the burden of proof bears by the prosecutor. So the correct answer for this is the prosecutor. And one more thing, this burden never shift. It always stays with the prosecutor. So this burden is always on the prosecutor from the day the trial starts to the day the trial ends. Now let's move to the question number 13. The terms finder of fact or tier of fact is used for A. Judge, B. Prosecution, C. Lawyer, D. Forensic scientist, E. Jury. So as you know, finder of fact or tier of fact means determining the facts, means determining the facts of the cases. So it is only done by the judge or jury. So these are the two people or officials that have to analyze the facts of the case, and based on that, they have to pass the judgment. So for that, the correct answer is A and E. So option third will be the correct answer. Now let's move to the question number 14. What approach did Hans Cross believe in forensic science? And these are the options. First is the holistic approach. Second is the remedial approach. Third is explanatory evidence approach. And fourth is none of these. And for this, the correct answer is holistic approach. So what is holistic approach? Holistic approach means experts from diverse field would contribute in the analysis of solving crime. So for example, a chemist or a biologist or a DNA experts, they all are from the diverse field, or they are expert in their field, and they come together to solve the crime. And this is how Hans Grove viewed forensic science. Now let's know more about Hans Gross. So Hans Gross is credited with coining the term criminalistic. He was known to define the term criminalistic, which described the forensic analysis of physical evidence. After that, he also published the book Criminal Investigation, which was not in English but was translated later in English in 1893. After that, he also started the journal called Criminology that majorly talks about advancement in the forensic science. Now, let's move to the question number 15. It is an assertion reason question. Assertion says expert witness is a type of lay witness, and reason says lay witness must testify on event or observation that arise from the personal knowledge. So, first of all, what are the lay witnesses? Lay witnesses are the ordinary witnesses. They are the ordinary witnesses, and you can say it is a witnesses who has not testified as an expert witness. So you can say that any witness that is not an expert witness is called to be a lay witness. So this makes the assertion false. Now let's check the options. So for this, the correct option is option C. A is incorrect, but R is correct. Because R is correct, the lay witness must testify the event or observation that arise from the personal knowledge. So what he has to present that in the front of court. And I already told you, lay witness are the ordinary witness or non-expert witnesses in the case. So the correct answer is A is incorrect, but R is correct. Well, this presentation is ended. I hope you like our content, and I hope I will able to explain you all these 15 questions. If you like our content, please do like and subscribe. And thank you for watching. You can visit our website forensicmcq.com for more MCQs, and you can also check the interview section real scholars in which the real scholars have given their tips on how to prepare this exam, for example, UGC net, or UK or or PG entrance exam.